Hi there, good morning. My name is Roberto Valdez. I also work at the Latino Policy Forum. And first off, I want to thank the Consulate General and Ambassadora Reyes Mendevil for giving us this platform. Also want to applaud Nicole for the amazing job that she's done managing this very powerful program. No, I think a word that all of you used was being vulnerable, right? I think that's what I took away. And I've had the privilege of meeting you all and some of you. I was part of the selection process to put this group together. Can you guys just talk about the lighter part of this program, right? All your answers were very serious, and I appreciate it. I know this is a very serious topic, but I'm sure you laughed a lot, right? There was a lot of love and light in these conversations. So can you please share that part of it? Because I think that's the beauty of it as well, right? You get mad, you cry, but then you flip it and you're having lunch and you're laughing. You're sharing these like beautiful stories and moments that you have in common. So if you can share about that, I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Roberto, because we do have fun. We talk about serious issues, but we do have fun. Oh, you want to go?
Maybe not.
Oh, no, yeah, we were the 2020s. So, yes, we had to get to, we actually had to transition, okay? So, in our virtual spaces of Zoom parties, we have a live DJ on board who is somewhere now probably DJing. But, so, no, it was a good experience. We would have those hard conversations. I think what you speak to is that even though we do have those hard conversations that sometimes brought tears, we were up having breakfast together, talking about our respective work areas and how to get through something, or our kids, our families, our vacations, that we were looking forward to. I think that's one of the first things I said to Nicole when I saw her today. I'm looking forward to vacation. But we do have those lives, and we are, even though we're vulnerable together, we love on each other. I'm going to say that. We loved on each other, and it was a beautiful going away. So,
one of the, there were a lot of light moments there, but one of them that really stands out to me the most is that I had taken a stand-up comedy class at Second City, and I had not done the homework of going out to do. So after you take the class, you're supposed to, that whole week, you're supposed to go out and do an open mic. And having a little one, 3-year-old, I wasn't able to go out and do any of those open mics. So the day before my graduation class for stand-up, I had 5 minutes to get up in front of a group of people and attempt to make them laugh. My cohort, when we were on our retreat, allowed me 5 minutes to do my first open mic in front of the group. And I kid you not, their response to my 5 minutes elevated my ego. They made me feel really good about my stand-up routine. Not quite sure if they liked it or not, but they made me feel really good. So the next day when I did go and do my stand-up, I think I hurt some hearts there. But I still felt good. So the light moment is that they provided that opportunity to love on me, to perform in front of them, and they gave me wonderful feedback, just a lot of great feedback, and yeah, the group, this is what I was saying earlier too about how I expected to go into MLA and have, there were some hard conversations, there were, but the conversations that were had were they were from the heart. There was no ill intention. There was no negativity that I thought that I was going to experience. And I didn't get any of that. So I was really happy with the experience that I had. But they loved on me, gave me the opportunity to do my stand-up comedy. So that was great.
And shout out to our trainers, because they were amazing. Yeah. And they really created that whole, they navigated it. So shout out to them. All right, here we go.
Someone else? Oh, no,
Thank you for sharing all your experiences. Let's pretend that I'm going to give you a magic wand. And with all of these learnings, and thinking that you might have the capacity to fix education, what will you do different to promote this multicultural leadership, but starting with the very, very young ones, with the little ones?
Who wants to use the magic wand first?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, as I think about my own experience, there are deficits, right, as we think about the educational school system for our young people across the city of Chicago. And having been born and raised here in the city, but having moved away for about 14 years, I was able to see and to know just how segregated, right, our city is as it even currently exists. Which looks very different in comparison to other communities across the country in many regards. When I think about my own educational experience as a young person, I can't say that I really recall, right, having many teachers that did not look like me to help me to understand one or more things about whatever it is I might have been learning in the classroom. And so to your question, I think one of the foremost changes that can be made is making certain that, yes, students have an opportunity to be taught by people that do look like them. I do think that there's tremendous value in that and a lot of research and data that speaks to that value. But also making it a point to ensure that young people have an opportunity to be taught by people that don't look like them, whether that be by way of race, gender, et cetera, because there's tremendous value in that. And when you see that from a very young age, it then positions you to begin to make sense of the world differently. I think about how young people, in many regards, right, they, this kind of cliche, they say, if you can see it, that you can be it. Well, what does that mean when, again, all you see is a monolithic reality and whatever that might be? And then what sort of complex might that even create for you from a very young age as you move into adulthood? And so as we think about representation and how to make a difference in representation specifically within the school experience, I think that that's a great place to start.
Yes, and again, it's just a real blessing to be here because, with my wife and working with the Montessori school that we have, we work with children from 15 months to 6 years of age, and these are challenges, right, that you're facing because you're seeing how can we take train people in Cicero to open up schools further west, Montessori schools, because I'll be honest with you, that's where the money's at, right? And you want to be able to sustain what you have in your community, but I want to grow in that direction. But I think it's a challenge to make sure that the same reason why we're wanting to stay in Cicero is possibly working with my black and brothers and sisters in the sense of looking to do that there as well, because we believe that the method is really awesome in helping these children to become lifelong learners. And my wife, she's the real expert as far as that is concerned. But I think it's a tremendous opportunity that we have that we want to share with the Cicero community and obviously with other communities as well. But no, thank you for that, because it is those little seeds that we're planting, and hopefully we can continue to go towards that direction. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Ralph Biederman with the U.S.-Mexico Chamber of Commerce. We've all seen the Jeffrey Bear travelogues and documentaries on WTTW, and one of the ones that I enjoyed was where he started downtown and took every color line of the CTA from the first station to the last, and he was talking about how the nature of the communities at each stop has changed over the years. So I'm wondering, in your communities, have you found the communities are contracting or expanding or mixing with other new communities, which might make the importance of new dialogue more important as we move along?
No, so I live in the Chicagoland community, and I've actually lived there since I was 5 years old. So I've seen the community really change from when we first moved there. It was predominantly white. There was a lot of Polish, a lot of Arab in that community. And as years have gone by, it's really become very heavily Latino, predominantly Mexican. But I think what's interesting and something that I always talk about when I think about Chicagoland is there's this real street level divide between the black and brown community. And you know, the one side is, if you go one side of Kedzie, it's gonna be very black. If you go the other side, it's very brown, very Latino. But I've started noticing, I think, more recently in the last few years where that line is becoming a little bit blurred. I see more people going to it'd be the east side of Kedzie. And really kind of seeing more Latinos moving out that way, and you kind of see West Englewood kind of growing into a little bit more Latino, and you see that. And there are some tensions, like I'm not gonna lie, I hear people who are like, no, this should stay black, it's a black community, it's closer to Englewood, and I'm like, oh, okay, we can talk about that, we can have that conversation. And I think, like you mentioned, I think having those dialogues, having individuals understand the shared and the richness of coming together. And as Cason mentioned, like, you know, it's called Multicultural Leadership Academy for a reason, because when we look at the landscape that is the United States, there is multiculturalism there. It's just not represented in a lot of our communities. In a city as segregated as Chicago is, it's hard for us to be able to say it's a multicultural city because we're so segregated, right? We have communities that are predominantly and want to stay predominantly one race, right? And you fight for that, but you know, how do we get there, and how do we dialogue around where it's not gentrification, where it's not sort of this idea of it, and it's not a bad thing when you have, you know, blacks coming into your community, where you have Latinos going into your community, where it's not, where it's how do you dialogue around that, and other races, right, and other ethnicities coming in to those communities. But I think because we have such a history where, you know, predominantly white people coming into a community, it destroys what's been there and the culture and the history that's been there. I think it brings up, again, that fear of what could be and what could happen to my history that's been there for a long time, for you know, families that have been there for generations and things like that. So I think I don't know if I answered your question, but I think that's just sort of my perspective on sort of where I see and how I've seen my community change from when I got there when I was 5 to where I'm now 36, and see that change and sort of like where it could go next is sort of the question, like where do our communities go next as prices are going up, as communities that were traditionally one ethnicity are becoming different, and they're moving, you know, further south or southwest, and you kind of have those, you start seeing it and you wonder where all of this is going to go and what role can community play in ensuring that, you know, it's not something that's driven by tension, it's not something that's going to be, you know, detrimental, but that we all sort of say like, hey, we all are in this together. And I think it was said perfectly earlier, you know, there's strength in unity. And I think that, like the ambassador mentioned, I think that's going to be a mantra for our, you know, black and brown communities moving forward. I think that's important to kind of keep in mind.
You know, I grew up on the north side of Chicago. I came to the United States when I was 10 years old. Originally from Toluca, Mexico. But it's a real challenge, because what happens when and that's a reason, again, one of the other reasons why I stay involved. Well, Nicole, you being so lovely, I always have to. But seriously speaking, I think it's understanding that, you know, Chicago is such a big city, such a metropolitan area, that outside of the city, it's, you know, when you talk about the segregation, my gosh, it's not even funny, because every suburb is its own little island. And I think Sylvia has done some work in the suburbs previously as far as making sure that people understand the importance of the diversity that needs to go on there, because it is a challenge. You know, when you're working with some of these suburbs that are outside of Chicago, the challenge there is that, you know, a long time ago somebody told me, you have to understand that the people that run the suburbs, it's a small group of people, and very true, and they're all interconnected, and they're, you know, there's all these things that come into play, and when you're trying to come into a community, it's definitely a challenge, because even though you might be there or whatever it is, there's still that prejudice that you feel. And it goes on even from the, you know, recently we were trying to get a loan, and I had this Eastern European woman, kind of like she, you know, we're looking for a line of credit, and she's like, oh yeah, give me all my paperwork, we've been in business for 5 years and everything, and she basically kind of said, oh, well, no, we can't do that. And then her colleague, who was a Latino woman, she said, hold on, let me see, let's see how we can work this and get it done. So it's really understanding that we need to have those key people that are there, because even though you might have all of the credentials and everything that you need, there still are the barriers. And even though the community might change, like in Cicero, when my wife started attending school there in the early 80s, she was only one of 2 Mexican students, you know, and now we have over 90% of the kids in Cicero that are Latino. But understanding that it was a very, you know, very racist place. You know, she tells me stories that are horrific of the things that she saw there. But understanding that those people, I forget what the word is for the opposite of gentrification, they moved out to the west, and they are the people that are kind of the gatekeepers of making sure that we kind of remain where we belong. And so I think that's a real challenge of making sure that we realize that we have the capacity to be and grow in that direction, but they will also make sure that we stand up for ourselves in creating the teams, right? Because what happens when sometimes when you're taking on endeavors, it's just not just you as an individual or whatever you're doing, but creating a team of people that you can work with. And so I think that's really really important, and it's a challenge because a lot of times things might be changing, but a lot of times they still remain the same. So that's I hope that answers a little bit.
Thank you so much. We probably have space for one more question, but I would like to acknowledge the presence of a group of promotoras comunitarias here. So thank you so much, the Resurrection Project and the promotoras comunitarias, if you can raise your hands. They are doing an incredible job in the community, and they are also doing very specific actions to build this black and brown bridge. So thank you so much for doing this. And we have one more question. Yes.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, and hello, panelists. My name is Nadia. I'm here in Chicago for the second time, and in the U.S. for the second time also. So a lot of this is new to me, the terminology. I'm working with Mujeres Latinas en Acción right now. I'm taking over the Latina Leadership Program. So leadership is a big deal in my circles. And recently, through work, we had the opportunity to attend an anti-Blackness webinar given by Radio Caña Negra. I wanted to shout them out there. They're amazing. They have a podcast also. And so I've kind of started the first step. That was the first step in this journey of really analyzing and kind of deconstructing a lot of the history that we're taught in Mexico, because my education is 100% from Mexico. So all of this Latin, African-American shared history that we have was completely erased for me. So, and they gave me a huge background on that, and I was really shocked. And they were kind of, it was good, the good type of confrontation, but it was a big confrontation, and it was an uncomfortable space. So kind of my question is really asking for advice, especially maybe to Lyzeth, Because I have a lot of shared identities. I lived in Belize for a little while, and that's kind of a black country, but I also lived in Mexico, but I lived in Germany as well. And so there's a lot of parts of my identity that I'm not sure where they go. You know, I'm so desperately looking for little boxes to put them in to kind of understand where this shared identity and how to move forward also. I'm a psychologist, and how to move forward in my work and how to bring the Black experience also to the people that I serve so that they can understand that it's not us against them, right? We're all in this ship together. And so, yeah, I kind of wanted to get your perspective, like your recommendations, your advice on how to continue building this experience. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think, oh, excuse me. Sort of when I think about the journey that you're going to be on and you're going to be kind of doing, I think it's important to be kind to yourself. It's important to be, empathetic to your own self and have, because it is a journey. When you kind of think about the history that you weren't taught, the shared history that you don't know about, and sort of the foundation of all that, it does take time to learn it. It takes time to understand it. It takes time to kind of deal with it and tackle it within yourself, tackle your own sort of biases, your prejudices, and it's a daily thing. I heard someone say, none of us are born woke. We all don't know everything. We all don't understand, and it's really that. And I think that's the best thing I can say. Kind to yourself. Be open to those conversations. Find people that are going to be honest with you, but they're also going to help you through it. Because there's people that'll be honest with you and just kind of like, well, then you deal it for yourself and figure it out on your own. Or they'll say, like, Google is free. But people are going to, help you through that, and build that. And kind of like you said, you attended a webinar, finding those opportunities to be in those spaces and just continue learning, I think has been the best thing for me to, when I think about, things that I need to deconstruct and things that I need to, relearn. The American system has taught us a history that paints the United States as the hero and, white people as heroes. And it's like, oh, wow, that is not real. And I was an adult by the time I figured that all out, right? I was it was past college. I was like, okay, now, 20-something years of my life, I've learned this and thought about this, and now I have to kind of go back and change a lot of that. So just, take those moments, take the quiet moments where you can process things and allow yourself to kind of be like, okay, it's not your fault that you didn't know about these things, and it's just important to kind of always keep that in mind and be open to, doing things. And if opportunities to join something like the MLA open up, I think, be open to those and join them and do those kind of things. But, seeking out the information, like I said, it's going to be a daily thing, and you'll stumble once in a while and just, pick up, learn from it. And I think it's just that's sort of the thing that I would kind of give you as someone who is, continue a journey in this kind of space.
So as a fellow academy program manager to one fellow program academy manager, is that my favorite set of words is, I don't know. And so it's okay that you don't have all that knowledge and experience. It's okay, but surround yourself around people who do. I cannot say enough about the people that we invite into the spaces who have that expertise, who share that information. Our trainers, we have Black and brown men and women in our academy. We have Black and brown men and women as our facilitators. So as we talk about having those voices in early education, having that representation as an adult who teaches you applies the same. You still need to hear from people who look and even speak the same language as you, as those people who are giving you. So then also to the people within your leadership academy, come with a wealth of knowledge. I mean, the networks that you have within your organization and your leaders, they have those.